Coming up on this episode of the Spiro Podcast.
You have to embrace the realization that doing the same work that you have done is not going to move your business along further.
Welcome to the Spiro Podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. With your hosts, Todd Kivimaki and Craig Magrum.
Hi, and welcome to the Spiro Podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. Spiro is a software platform. We designed by a real estate media company for real estate media companies to help you manage your day-to-day business. But ultimately, we want to see you scale and grow as well and be a part of that with you. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Craig Magrum, and along with me each and most every week, one of us is on here. At one point or the other, Todd Kivimaki, owner, founder, co-host, partner in crime, superhero, all things software. What else can I come up with, Todd?
Craig, do you want a raise? Is that what you're looking for?
No, I'm good. I'm good. The company takes care of me. I just want to put this out here publicly for listeners. No, seriously. I do brag to our clients about what a great company Wow Video Tours is, the culture that has been built at our company, led by our owner, Todd. And I'm not saying that to get a raise. I really enjoy working at this company. And when I do that, it shows. The clients then are confident that they've chosen the right company to work with because they see me enjoying my job, the work I get to do, the way the company takes care of me. And just a quick aside for the argument for building great culture, your employees will advocate for you to your clients, and that builds strong relationships. So,
well, thank you for that, Craig. It's one of those things, and this isn't actually the topic today, but it'd be a good one for a future podcast. Is it takes a lot of work, and I underestimated nurturing the culture and explicitly saying what the culture was and holding people accountable for the culture. Once we defined it for a lot of years, then I felt a lot of pain. And that pain was greater than the pain of actually protecting the culture. So I finally made a change. I can be bullheaded sometimes. And when you get it right, and we're not perfect by any means, but when you get it right, it's a really good thing for everyone involved.
Yeah. It goes back to that quote I've shared before that I learned at Cherry Street Mission in Toledo that our CEO taught us. People don't change, cultures don't change, companies don't change until the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of the change you need to make.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. We're kind of going to talk about that today, Craig. We can use that same statement with our topic today.
That's true. And we'll introduce that in just a minute, but Spiro Updates, Todd, something big just rolled out.
Yeah, just a quick one for you. It's actually, when we're recording this, it's February 6th, and this hit 2 days ago. So probably by the time you're getting this might have been a couple weeks or more, but we have revamped. This is upon enormous amounts of requests. So we listen to you all. I know sometimes it doesn't feel like that. We really do. And you all said, how can it be easier for my agents to download video? They need the video on their cell phone, especially iOS. It was very tricky with pop-ups and blocking, and goes to files and hit the share code. You have to jump through 42 hoops on iOS to get a video in your camera. And the engineering team has been working on this behind the scenes for quite some time. They did their magic. And now when your clients go to the download page and there's a video, and I'll just take the iOS path because this is always easy on Android. But on iOS, so iPhone, iPad, you click download, and there's a prompt on the screen that lets them know the video is, the download is processing. They can see a nice dialog box that fills up. When the download's done, there's a pop-up box that asks them to continue to save their file. They click continue. Then they're going to get the iOS system screen at the bottom that is basically like, hey, here's the file. What do you want to do with it? The top option is send it to a contact. The second option is the apps that are in the quick menu. And then the best option, and the option that you'll want to tell your clients, is it says save video. When you click save video, and this is different than save to files. when you click save video, that agent can now click save video, go to their camera, and the last media type will be that video in their camera roll. So we're extremely excited about this. And what this allows your agent to do is go through that process, go straight to Instagram, hit upload, browse camera, boom, upload the video right to their social feed.
Just as an aside, isn't it ironic? You just said it's super easy on Android, but iOS, it's been challenging. Mac is supposed to be like the platform for creators and media, and yet it's harder to save the media on iOS. That just kind of popped in my mind.
Yeah, a few hoops. The security, I agree with you, but it's solved now for everyone.
Right. Kudos to the to the development team.
Yeah, and keep the feedback coming. Yeah. Please do. It's super helpful. We work on a lot of things behind the scenes. And we appreciate the feedback and the support that you guys give us.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Todd, we have a whole slate of guests scheduled now for the next probably close to 2 months for the podcast. Speakers, both on the main stage and the workshops and the breakouts from the Spiro Sync conference that are going to be joining us, like I said, for the next month and a half or 2 months or so. And we're super excited to have them. Their schedules are very busy as well. So there's been a slight delay in getting them in the schedule that worked for them, but we're just very, very thankful for the time that they're going to be giving us to benefit you here on this podcast and share the knowledge that they shared at the Spiro Sync conference. But in the meantime, you're going to have to put up with Todd and I one more week here. But Todd, this morning at our staff meeting, you made a comment that just kind of jumped out at me, and it's not going to be an exact quote, but you made a statement, something to the effect of this, and go ahead and correct me, clarify, whatever. But you made a comment that said, it's harder to get better the better you are. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I suppose that is. Because the next step to improving when you're already at such a high level seems exponentially harder than when you're, say, just starting out at something, and any change is any positive change is going to be a big step forward. And I just thought that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what was said before that was from Jess, our head of operations at WOW. And she has been on fire lately to just make changes, to make things better, to get people aligned, to finalize and clean up any SOPs that might be out hanging. And she gave a few wins in our morning meeting. We always start with wins, and then we go to our leaders, Steve and Jess. And Jess has been fired up. And she started by thanking the team for their support. And then she apologized for her well, she used a word, but for her excitement, her energy, for her passion, insert your favorite.
Intensity,
yes.
Yeah.
And I think this shows that she's a great leader by bringing that up and apologizing for it, excuse me. But also the other thing is, this is year 23 of WOW. Mm-hmm. 2025 was our best year ever by about 20%. 2024 was the best year before that by about 25%. So as we grow, it gets harder and harder every year to grow better. And I just really appreciated her energy, because quite honestly, we could probably sit back and do what we've done for 23 years and we would about maintain. We might hover the same. We might go down minimally, but we have a foundation of a lot of years and a lot of strong relationships that if we were content, would probably stay about the same and minimally go down over the next 10 years. And I just wanted to make the point to the team that it's going to take this thinking from everyone and then everyone's support, because Core value number 2 is about hard work. We always say if it was easy, everybody would do it. We don't want to do the easy road here. And I know you don't at your business. And this aligns with core value, our last core value that says think growth. We want to grow. That's a core value. I actually, on the wall out here, and they're painting it today, we have our core values hung up. And if we wanted to stay where we are at in 2025, I'd probably have to throw the picture away today and take it off a core value. And that is okay. You can change your core values over the years, but it's not for us. We're still aligned with our 5 core values. And I just really appreciate what Jess said. And, when you get content with things can get scary.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's that business principle that if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. And I'll admit, Todd, like when I had my business, I got to that point where I was comfortable. Like I was making decent money compared to what I've ever made in the past working in ministry. And I know that one of my strengths versus weaknesses is I like to be hands-on with the work that I do. And I'd like to work shoulder to shoulder with people versus leading them. Now, I might have influence working shoulder to shoulder, and that is a form of leadership, but to be the out front leader was not my strength. And I knew that I was at the point in my business where I either had to stay at the size I was, which was basically, it was a 2-man show. I had one other photographer and myself, and I was doing basically everything, and stay boutique, which is okay if that's what your goal is. But at some point you're going to carry some weight and it's going to burn you out doing that. And I recognized that. And I knew that at some point there would be bigger companies that would move into our market where I was, and they would be pushing forward, and I would eventually get left in the dust. So there is that, that pretty solid principle that if you're not growing, you're falling behind. So what I kind of wanted to pick your brain on, Todd, was just, Wow's history, the why of growing, and looking at the impact of continuing to grow and get better, even though it's getting harder to get better. What is the impact on the bottom line for the business to keep pushing that way versus what is the impact on the bottom line of just settling where you're at and continuing to do the best that you can, but not necessarily making those steps to get better when it's harder. Does that make sense?
It does, Craig. And so I'll go back to my why, our goals. And I mentioned one of them that we wanted to grow. When I started this, I wanted to do as many tours as possible for anyone, anywhere. And so I commonly, when you play the what if game, it's typically on my calculator. And I've shared before, like I am motivated by money. And I would typically go, hey, if each agent spends, I was charging $75 for a video, Craig, and doing video only. So I'd take $75 because that was my average order value. I didn't know it was called that at the time, but I took 75 times, I'm working with 20 agents, okay, times 20. And I'd say, well, maybe they order 2 with me a month on average. And I'd put 2 and I'd hit enter and I'd get a number. Like, oh, that's kind of fun. Well, what if it wasn't, 15 or 20 agents, what if it was 100 agents? What if it was 1,000 agents? And I would continue to do that on my calculator. And the more you hit enter, the more zeros you get and the more fun it is. And so that was always a goal of mine, of just wanting to scale this business. And I was always, I'm okay with the idea of you have to spend money to make money. That was always, that just seemed natural to me. I was fine with it. Everything I had started prior, I liked that type of accountability. And so I was always okay with spending the money. And then you get to a certain point, right? We all do. The more zeros you add to anything, eventually you're going to be like, oh, wait a minute, that's a lot of zeros. And in those situations, let's call them like the plateaus of business, Craig. That's when, if your business has plateaued, you're probably doing the actions that got you to this point. And you are at a crossroads that doing the same actions are not going to take you any higher.
What got you here won't get you there.
Exactly, Craig. The book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There by Marshall Goldsmith. When I hired a coach and I was in one of these plateaus, first coach I ever hired, and it was a nerve-wracking hire because it costs a lot of money. I was eventually just so fed up. Again, the pain was more of staying where I was at and in some of the situations and the pain of spending the money. It was actually the second book he had me read. And the first one was Leadership and Self-Deception by the Augsburger Institute. But he had me read this book, and it's got some really great points in it, but it's the idea of like, hey, what are you doing today? And so right now in your business, if you are a 1 or 2 man band and you are still shooting and you want to get to a team of 5, 10, 50, is shooting going to allow you that growth? If you're quality checking your images, is that going to allow you to growth? If you're, okay, let's take it your next phase. So about $50K a month and up. Okay. So I coach many of you in the Orbit program. That's Eli Jones's rep coaching. We handle the $50K a month and up. It's called Orbit. And so you individuals might right now still be training. Many of you aren't shooting, but you might be training new photographers. You might be hiring new photographers. Maybe it's time that you need to bring a lead photographer in and empower them to train the team. So it can be many different things. And a lot of times it disguises itself. And it's tricky. And you know why the reason it disguises ourselves and it's so hard for us to pick up on it? It's because we really enjoy doing those activities and we're really, really good at them. So Craig, back to your example of shooting and you know, you had this idea of staying in a boutique company and that was fine, but did you enjoy shooting, building relationships with your clients, and did you feel like you were really good at it?
Yeah, those were my 2 favorite things to do. What I didn't like was the bookkeeping that I had to do Saturday morning, chewing up that Saturday morning when I could have been spending time with my family. You know, the bringing on another photographer, even though I worked well with him. Like I said, I don't necessarily like being a manager of people. I'd rather work shoulder to shoulder with people. But yeah, but what I have found, Todd, is I'm getting older, especially this winter. These winters, I'm not quite enjoying shooting outside quite as much as it didn't bother me before. So I've got to start thinking through what changes do I need to make in my career moving forward that's going to both serve the company and challenge me and keep me interested in moving forward as well. So.
Yeah. And that's kind of an interesting point. So let's take a tangent here, Craig, because this is on the topic, but off the topic, because many of you might be at this crossroads. So I have a fantastic employee in Craig, and it's a lot more personal than that. I just call it, but he's a key person on our team. And we've had conversations with Craig about this already. Steve has, I have, we, lunch up in Findlay, Ohio, Craig, that I can remember that we talked about goals and things you wanted to do. So the first step is really understanding Craig's goals. Like, we do not want to lose Craig. Can we expect Craig to shoot until he's 70? It's only 4 years from now, but probably not.
Maybe single level condos on the inside only, and you have the young guys do the outside.
In Florida?
Yes. I could start a chapter down. Oh, there's so many of you down in Florida already, though. That would be really hard.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And Craig, you didn't pick up on, I said it's only 4 years from now.
Oh, no, I missed it. I age well. What can I say?
So, no, we can't, but we want to keep Craig at the company engaged. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure Craig can reach his goals. I'm never for trying to strong arm somebody in a company And Craig would never do that, but you have to make sure people can reach their goals at your company. So we understand this, and we understand this trajectory and path that Craig wants to go on, and we support him on that. And Craig, I guess just what have we done specifically in your market to begin to work towards these things?
Well, for one, we've been able to hire a new photographer. We call them vidtographers because they're doing photos and video. And this guy has a really great attitude, presents himself really well. So he's starting to train to eventually start taking some of those shoots off my schedule so that I'm not shooting as much and I can spend more time on the business development side of things, building those relationships, providing education to our clients on how to best use the media that we're providing for them. Because I do like to teach. And like just practically speaking, yeah, eventually I don't necessarily want to be out trudging around in the snow and, freezing my fingers off and whatnot. But, yeah. So number one is hiring another photographer in the market that I serve, which is fantastic.
Yeah. And this actually segued like we planned it, Craig, although I'll be honest with you all, we didn't plan to segue this way into the second half of the conversation, but this is the idea of creating new columns and moving up those columns.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So I've talked a lot about time tracking, and I had a coach who is very big on this, and I would do it, and it's fabulous. And so he had you track your time, or I would track my time. And I still do this throughout the year, at least a couple times, to hold myself honest and to see what has changed. And I always remember that what got me here won't get me there. Mm-hmm. And so I will track my time, and typically it's like in 15-minute intervals. And I take it from morning till when I leave, all my business time. And then I do this for probably 2 weeks is a good time to do it. And after those 2 weeks, I analyze the results. And I look at those tasks and I categorize those actions that I did while working into 3 different categories. One is admin, low-level task. I quality checked photos. I helped with client support. I had a couple of those this week. I'll be transparent. The support team was Spiro. We had 1 or 2 people off. It was the early morning. I worked the early morning. I saw that there was a bunch of tickets in there. I talked with Maya, talked with Amy, like, hey, you guys want me to jump in? Amy, our head of customer support, said, yeah, it'd be great. Like, if you have time, if not, I can try to keep going, and we have someone coming on in about 30 minutes. I said, hey, I'll jump in for 30 minutes. And I actually had a ball doing it. It was fun to talk to you. And again, back to like, why did I love doing it? One, because I did it a lot for a long time because there was no one else. So when you guys had questions, it was me in the bubble only. And number 2, like, I feel like I'm pretty good at it. Like, there's not a one question in it that comes in that like, I'm like, oh, I don't know this. Like, I know it. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy giving solutions and helping you all use the software better. So for me, if I was time tracking this past week, that would have been categorized to admin level work. Then the second category is nurse work. So this is higher. If you think of a healthcare organization, the admin is going to check you in at the front desk. The nurse is going to come back and he or she's going to take your blood pressure. They might draw blood. They are going to do various things. Okay. And then you categorize nurse. And then the final category is doctor. And doctor are these really pinpointed tasks. When you go in to see the doctor, what's the typical thing? Oh, he's in for 5 minutes and out.
Yeah.
The nurse is probably building rapport. The admin has built some rapport with you. The nurse spends a little more time, and then the doctor is in, and he or she is out as quick as possible because the doctor understands where their time is valuable, and they understand that the more people they can see in 5 or 10 minute intervals, the more people they can help. And so you're looking at these categories at the end of the week, and this sometimes is a realization. There might be some time bandits in there. And you have to kind of be careful because I'll give you an example, Craig, of one thing for me that's a time bandit is social media.
Yeah.
So I could very easily justify that me spending too much time on social media during the day, and I don't spend it in the evening. I don't have my password on my phone because I know if my social media password accounts are on my phone, I'll go and look at them. And only my work laptop has the password manager that holds my social media accounts. And I actually don't even know my password manager login. It's on a file inside my account. So I've had to lock myself out. Yeah. Right. Like literally 4-year-old level. Like, I have gates and bumpers all around because I don't have the self-discipline to not check. But I could justify social media because, one, it is part of my job description. I do see it as my job description to spend time with you all on social media, make sure I understand how everybody's feeling, make sure I can answer questions or connect with you all. And as the owner of the company, I am still the face of Spiro. And then we're bringing more people in, but I could justify that time.
Right.
But I have to be very careful because that can sneak away from you very quick.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
So I am very careful about categorizing those things. There might be a little bit of time that I'm a doctor on social media, but some of it's just admin level work.
Let me rewind just a little bit and just ask a very base level question, because this is something I was discussing with somebody else that was picking my brain on some things. When you're looking to grow your business and make that, that next hire, which is part of getting better, right? If you're trying to grow your company, say you're wanting to hire a new business development specialist person, but your budget isn't necessarily quite there. You don't necessarily have the money right, up front to be able to bring somebody on. How do you handle that very base level question of, can I afford to hire somebody right now?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm going to answer it with a little bit of a different perspective, just specifically for this question, Craig.
Okay.
If your business is not doing 50 to 100K a month, you're probably not to the level of hiring a salesperson.
Okay.
I think a lot of times I see some owners that have success and they might get to 10, 20, 30, even 50, and they don't enjoy sales.
Mm-hmm.
The dirty word of sales. And they're like, I'm just going to hire it. And I would really caution you in doing that.
Okay.
Number one, because if you hire a salesperson, who is going to manage that salesperson?
It has to be you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable with selling and you don't really know what the path is to successfully selling, it means you, one, haven't done the job, but two, you haven't been a manager of those people. If you've never managed salespeople, I would not suggest that you jump into it at that stage in your business.
Interesting. Okay.
And salespeople are driven differently. And it's not a bad thing. You actually need them to be driven by money and getting the sale. And they like to help people too. I don't want to paint a bad picture here, but I will tell you, I struggled many years with managing the sales team. And then I finally hired a manager to build and manage the sales team. And I learned a lot of things there. Like I was literally going to the library. This is when you still went to the library. I was getting books on how to manage sales teams. And I learned a lot from it. So this was this idea of what got me here won't get me there. Eventually I'm bullheaded enough. I'll try something for long enough and I'll go, hey, I need to learn more about this. And so that was me continuing to understand that I'm lacking these abilities. Let me go learn about them. And that got me from here to there. Or let me hire someone. If I hired people and that was me educating myself.
So, okay, going back up the ladder here of the discussion of the hard work of getting better, the better you are. So in the last year, Todd, 4 Wow Video Tours, you said we've grown, 20 some percent over last year?
Yeah, about 20% last year.
Right. So what are you don't have to go into specifics, but what are the challenges that Wow is facing from last year to this year? And what's the approach or the plan or the strategy to tackle the next steps to get better when we've been at this for 23 years? What's the method of organizing how you're going to approach getting better?
Yeah. It all ties back to our core values. So let me just walk you through some examples. And some of this, I'll completely be transparent. I hear a lot of this, but you might know more than me in some of these topics, Craig, because we talk during this and I meet with Steve and Jess and I have an idea of where they're going and they're managing their own, priorities and goals, initiatives inside of our big goals. Mm-hmm. So let's just walk down our core values. And I think this will be a fun activity. And this will maybe help you all realize that why core values are so important. And just tying everything back to that allows you as the owner to succeed, even though you don't have to be in everything. Okay, so core value number one is clients are our number one priority. And so currently right now we are working on, video download. Y'all gave us that idea like that. I announced that at morning meeting. Everybody was thrilled. How can we make it easier for our agents to download video, to order? How can we give better support? How can we give better, client onboarding? Okay, an example, Craig, we've just back hired, and Craig is going to spend more of his time building relationships in his city. We are examining more people like that, business development specialists, in more of our cities. Okay, where do we feel like there's some gaps? We're looking at partnerships. Okay, there's some people that want to partner with us in some of our cities. Is it a good year to do this partnership? How has it paid off in the past? Have we done things like that? So all of this supports our clients. Okay, core value number two. I actually just grabbed them from the wall, y'all. So these really do exist. Okay. Our work is our character. Okay. This means, I'll summarize it. If it was easy, everybody would do it. It's going to be hard work. Just like Jess apologized for how she was pushing everybody was okay with it because they realize that if we want to grow, it's going to be hard work. Okay. Right. So we're doing things like that. Next initiative.
We are family.
We are family.
For you audio podcast listeners.
It says we are family. Okay, what does that mean? What are we doing this year to be more family? Well, one, we just talked about it with Craig. Like we want him in the family. So we're understanding what his goals are. We're doing this with the entire team. There's been at least, I can think of Craig's move into backfilling 2 or 3 other positions where someone was doing something completely different this year and they've moved into a completely new job title and description. Mm-hmm. And we are backfilling and bringing new family members in. That is going to help us grow. That's hard work. That's what's going to get us off this plateau. Okay, next core value. Okay, this is the Star Wars one, Craig. This is be a disturbance in the force. Now we realize that we have to do things different. Again, I was doing video of real estate back in 2004. It was a really dumb idea, but it was ahead of the curve.
The dial-up times.
For
you kids.
The dark ages.
Right.
And so what does that look like this year for us? How are we disturbing what we did last year? Well, one, what Jess was so fired up about, our video, agent on camera video, a more luxury, high-end, better edit, faster moving, better music, better everything. And many of you are doing that too. And many of you have done it last year. Okay. We're a little bit bigger. It takes us a little bit longer to move. And so we are working hard on that. We are disturbing that. Again, back to Craig's situation. We're disturbing his market with new people. We just started a really cool partnership that I talked about down in the Cincinnati area. So all of these things we are changing. We are not doing what we did last year based on client feedback. Then finally, the last initiative, and this is, think growth. And it's the core value says we are constantly learning. So we're learning about new things. We're learning about video. We're learning about new sales techniques. We're learning about new partnerships. So those are our initiatives. And there's maybe 50 more. I'm just guessing. But I know from my perspective and spending very little time at WOW, and I hear this from everyone in the company, as long as I can tie back what we're doing to our core values, then I'm good with it as the owner. Craig, now I kind of skirted around answering that just because to be transparent, I don't have all those initiatives of WOW, but is that a fair answer?
Yeah, I think that's a good 10,000 foot view. I think the 1,000 foot or 100 foot view, that the actual tactics to make those changes are going to vary from company to company, market to market, situation to situation. But I think you could fit all of those under those main categories of making the hard changes. The further you go in this field, or any field really, this isn't just for real estate media, but that hard work issue, or hard work value, I should say, is the one that you've got to be able to embrace, and be able to bring leaders into your organization that also have that same view of, yeah, we know that's going to be hard work, and we're committed to that. We're on the same page. Let's go do it. So I think a key part of it is finding the right people, and I think we have those right people leading us. That causes people like me then to get fired up and want to be a part of that as well. It all flows down from leadership and from ownership of those core values, and truly believing in them, and being committed to them, even through the hard times. I had one of the hardest weeks I've had just with challenges this week. But I was able to get through it because we have a team that we rally around each other, right? We are family, and that goes a long way in helping get through those hard challenges. So find the right people to join you in the journey that you're on with your business, and you'll get through it. You'll make those exponentially hard steps that you need to make to get better.
Yeah, for sure, Craig. Well said. So let's go over a quick action plan, because many of you are probably saying, okay, what does this mean for me?
Right.
This is quarter 1 of a new year. What does this mean for me? Number 1, you have to embrace the realization that doing the same work that you have done is not going to move your business along further. And that might be hard to hear. I say it from a place of love in my heart. Sometimes we have to have a harsh realization to actually make the change. So you have to embrace that idea. If you're like, no, that's not me, I'm really doing the right activities, and your business isn't growing, we should talk. Okay, we should break that down a little bit more. You should look at what those activities are. So if you're like, great, Todd, I'm all on board. I'm okay to do new activities. What are they? Okay, well, they're different for everybody. What I would suggest is that you do a time tracking activity. So track your time, write it down. And many of you, if you want to use something digital, I just use pen and paper. I think it's great just to write it down. I use pen and paper. I have a chart that's Monday through Friday, and it has like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to like 8 p.m. And you're not going to use all that time. Just use your working time and track your activities. How long did you quality check? How long were you in the field shooting? Okay, what activities were you doing? Do you have planning? Did you do projections? Did you do hiring? Whatever it was, write it down. Do it for 2 weeks. Then at the end of 2 weeks, take 3 highlighters, and one will represent your low level or admin task. The second will represent your nurse, and the third color will represent your doctor activities. And then just take those all down in a chart and type those out, or give them to an AI. This is a beautiful task for AI, and analyze where you spent your time. Immediately look to get rid of any admin level task. Is there someone on your team, even a VA? Come and talk to them about it. The cool thing that this does, Craig, is your admin level task is actually a doctor level task for an individual in your company.
Yeah. Okay. Explain that.
Okay. So so think about this. Your employees all have the same type of task. They have admin, nurse, and doctor. And for your VA, that is quality controlling photos, that is their big deal. That's their doctor level task. That's the highest level task you've given them.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So if you come to your VA and you say, hey, I found that I was responding to clients about support fixes for 2 hours last week. Would you be willing to help me with these tasks and these responses? You know what they're going to do, Craig? Your VA is going to fall off their chair and they're going to be like, wow, I can't believe that Todd trusts me and wants me and will allow me to email back and forth with the clients. I've wanted to do it for so long. I see these images. I know the system. I know how to do it. This is really cool that Todd wants me to do this. I think this is the most fun thing in business, Craig. I just so get a kick out of this. I have goosebumps right now even just thinking about this. Because think now, what's going to happen? Your VA is going to go home. You know what they're going to talk to their spouse about?
Guess what Todd asked me to do today? Yeah.
You will not believe what Todd wants me to do. He thinks he trusts me to do this. And I fully believe that as the business owner in your company, if you can get your employees to talk about what they do or what you said to them and impact them in a positive way, there is no better thing that you can do as the leader of your company.
Keyword positive. Positive.
Yes. Positive way.
Can you believe what Todd said to me today? Better make sure that's positive.
Exactly. So in that now you have created a new column. Your VA, their highest column, their doctor column used to be quality control. Now you moved up a new column for them that's higher than the doctor, and that is client support emails. And then what do you get to do? You get rid of your admin level column because you gave it to your VA. Now your nurse level task are actually your admin level task. And now you've created a new column. So you have nurse, doctor, and you have owner columns. And that you continue to do that year after year after year. 5 years ago, Craig, if you told me what WOW's initiatives were, I would have given you the 100-foot view. I can only give you the 10,000-foot view, and I have to tie it all back to core value because I know we're aligned there because I've given those columns away.
Right.
So when you can do that in your company, it will not only help you grow, but you will see your employees grow and be engaged and be aligned with you. And they will then bring things to you that you would never believe. With this, this is how you, again, back to culture. This is how you begin to create this culture is you trust in people, you give them the ability, you align them, you hold them accountable, and you help them learn.
Good stuff. Good practical steps to take when the change gets harder and harder. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah. I feel like I need to say this, Craig. Mm-hmm. If you're listening to me right now and you're like, I don't need to do the time tracking activity. I use my time well. Can I just tell you, and from a place of love in my heart, you're probably wrong about that.
Yeah. There's always room for improvement. None of us have it nailed down 100%.
Yeah. I mean, and I still actively do this, and I don't even have a huge business. I mean, we have a large real estate media business, but the Small Business Administration defines a small business as any entity under $40 million. Okay, we're worlds away from 40 million. Wow. So we have a very small business. But I think it's this desire to learn and to analyze is what's going to help you go. So if you say, hey, I don't need to do that, please go get a time tracking, download a spreadsheet, just get a piece of notebook paper and write down what you do from 8 to 5 in business.
There you go. Good deal. Todd, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good discussion today. If you have any aha moments, would you share them with us? We did this at Spiro Sync and it was so great. Like we had aha moments. This was Shannon's idea, after day 1 and at the end of day 2. And these aha moments, I think it just helps everybody because they disguise themselves. Hey, I realized I was doing this action and I actually asked one of my VAs or my admins, and they actually really love doing that. And I used to hate doing it before. I love those stories. Those get me so fired up. So if you had an aha moment, would you share it with me? hello@spiro.media. And then let me know if I can read it on the podcast. I can keep your name and everything private, but I love sharing that. I love hearing that. And I think all of us would love if you shared that as well.
If you don't email us, you can also leave it in the YouTube comments on this video if you're watching the video. I try and keep an eye on those things, and I can pass that on to Todd as well. So awesome. Alrighty. Well, next week starts the Spiro Sync conference guest speakers. We're looking forward to that. So make sure you stick around. And in the meantime, if you do have specific business questions that you'd like us to tackle on the podcast, again, email us hello@spiro.media. We want this to be a podcast that benefits you and brings value to you and your business. All right. We, believe it or not, we don't like to just sit here and hear ourselves talk. Kind of like that video I posted in the Spiro Super Users Facebook group the other day.
Yeah,
I had to. All right. That's going to do it for this week, guys. Ladies, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. We know spring market is right around the corner, so you're probably already doing the work to get ramped up for that. So thank you for taking the time to listen, to watch, and for us to be a part of your business. And we just appreciate you. All right. Make sure you take some time to be thankful for the blessings in your life, and make sure, even though you're getting busy, take some time to breathe. All right. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us for the Spiro Podcast, Managing Your Real Estate Photography and Videography Business. This is a production of Spiro and Wow Video Tours. You can find out more about Spiro's real estate media business management software at our website, spiro.media.